You often hear fundamentalist Christians claim that the Ten Commandments should be placed in government buildings because our legal system is based upon them. But is this really true? Let's take a closer look. If you ask a Christian which of our laws are based on the Ten Commandments, he or she will usually come up with "Thou shalt not kill" and "Thou shalt not steal" from Exodus chapter 20. That sounds pretty reasonable, doesn't it? Except that no society can exist without laws that prevent its citizens from slaughtering one another whenever they feel like it, or taking whatever they want from someone without permission. Thus, prohibitions against murder and theft have always existed in human civilizations, including all non-Christian societies. The Code of Hammurabi, for example, contains laws against killing and stealing, and it was created hundreds of years before Moses supposedly received the Ten Commandments. Alright, then what about "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor"? It appears this commandment originally applied only in a court of law, which again has always existed even in non-Christian civilizations, and is included in the Code of Hammurabi. However, most Christians believe this commandment applies to lying of all types. Unfortunately for them, the only laws we have against lying are for official situations, like in court or in legal contracts. Otherwise, you're free to lie all you want. In fact, if you want to spread false rumors about your neighbor, you can go right ahead and the law won't touch you. Why not? Because freedom of speech is protected by our Bill of Rights. That would mean our laws are actually diametrically opposed to the common interpretation of the "Thou shalt not bear false witness" commandment. And that's not the only commandment made illegal by our right to freedom of speech. So is "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain." Although most theologians believe this refers only to breaking oaths sworn in the name of God, most Christians believe it applies to using God's name as profanity. Either way, it would be unconstitutional and illegal to make a law preventing people from using God's name however they want, from the perspective of both freedom of speech and freedom of religion. Freedom of religion also applies to two additional commandments: "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," and "Thou shalt not worship graven images." In our society, if you want to worship some other god or gods, you go right ahead. The law will even protect you. Why is that? Again, our Constitution. It guarantees freedom of religion, which is the very opposite of what the commandment demands. Okay, then what about "Thou shalt honor thy mother and father"? Well, it's considered polite and decent to do so, yes, but since when has there been a law requiring kids to honor their parents? In fact, when it comes to abusive parents, children are encouraged to not honor them, and instead report them to the authorities. Then how about "Thou shalt not work on the Sabbath"? There's some dispute on whether the Sabbath falls on Saturday or Sunday, but either way, there are no laws against working any day of the week you like. In fact, millions of businesses around the country are open on Saturday or Sunday, and almost everyone at least occasionally spends the weekend catching up on work. So how about "Thou shalt not commit adultery"? Sorry, while adultery is considered a factor in divorce settlements, there are no enforceable laws that prosecute adultery itself. As long as both partners are in agreement, a married couple can have sex with others and the law won't get involved at all. So what's left? Just "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's possessions." Are you kidding? The American economy is based on the concept of coveting your neighbor's possessions. It's called keeping up with the Joneses, and it goes back at least as far as the right to the pursuit of happiness. There's certainly no law against desiring what someone else has. Well, that's all 10 of them. So let's recap. How many of our laws are based on the Ten Commandments? None. 0. In fact, our basic rights as American citizens would actually make it illegal to write laws based on most of the Ten Commandments. They're unconstitutional, un-American, and just plain unnecessary. Consequently, the Ten Commandments deserve no special right to be placed in our government buildings. Period.